Hello, everyone. Happy Friday night, and welcome to this evening's devotional. I am going to talk about rest, and I am going to talk about scheduling unscheduled time. So, scheduling in unscheduled rest. My mentor, Margaret Gillikin, introduced me to this phrase, to schedule unscheduled time. And it's important for several reasons. One, if you do not advocate and carve out time to rest and to Sabbath, and to just not have structured plans, but to have like unstructured fun or renewal, it's not going to happen. If you don't advocate and carve it out and put up a boundary and say, this is what I need, and set reminders and get all of the things, prepared so that that can happen, it's just not going to organically happen. It's just not. I was really busy before COVID-19 happened. And then since COVID-19, things have taken an astronomical turn where it was fairly easy to take at least one day off a week, maybe. It was a lot more doable. And I just yet again, because we're, doing this hybrid of some in-person stuff and some online stuff, and it's really hard. So Margaret, my mentor, reminded me to take time and looking at my schedule, looking at the things that I need to do, and then saying, okay, we are scheduling in unscheduled time. So my scripture for tonight, the scripture that I want us to think about for tonight's devotion, is Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 40. The day when evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along, just as he was, in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious storm came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so it had nearly swamped with water. Jesus was in the stern of the boat, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said, Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" And Jesus got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Why do you still have such little faith?" And even though this verse or this passage ends, I picture Jesus going back to that little cushion and that little pillow and laying back down and going back to sleep. I love this passage because it shows that the humanity of Christ, that Jesus was fully God but was fully human. And it shows the intense necessity for Jesus to stop and carve out time to rest. The funny thing is, in the midst of this scripture, in this chapter, Mark, the whole chapter before verse 35, was Jesus healing people and Jesus teaching people and demons being cast out and lessons being taught. And Jesus performing miracles and doing all of these things. And the funny thing is, when he left and he got on the boat and he took a nap, there was still so much ministry to be done. There were people that he did not heal. There were people who still had demons. There were lessons that had still not been taught. There was still so much to do. And yet Jesus still scheduled that unscheduled time for rest and renewal. That is like the way it is, loved ones. If we tell ourselves, which I am always so guilty of doing, well, I'm going to rest and I'll take a day off as soon as I get everything done. What a joke. No way, Jose. Oh, well, I'll take a break as soon as these 10 things get accomplished. No, you need to take a break and you need to have a normal routine where you're taking a break. And oh, by the way, if you're not saying this is when I'm taking a break, it's just not going to happen. So my prayer for all of us, and this includes Pastor Angie. Hello. My name is Angie Dornish, and I am a workaholic. Hello. Good evening. is for us to take time to not shame ourselves and to name that we need rest. And we need time throughout the week. And let's be real, like real time for longer than a day to Sabbath. We need to break that cycle of exhaustion and busyness. We are in a very important, vital crossroads right now. We are in the end of the 3rd month of this pandemic. And if we do not start, and I'm talking about people in ministry, I'm also talking about first responders, I'm talking about people who are just running themselves ragged with small business owners, teachers, administrators who, let's be real, they're still working this summer. If we don't really take that time to stop now and figure out what good rest and what good Sabbath is going to look like, we are all going to burn out. We're not going to survive this. Like, we just won't. We'll burn out. And the reality is the world needs us. As Christ followers, the world needs good teachers and incredible pastors and wonderful caregivers and nurses, and the world needs you. If you volunteer somewhere, the world needs you. So my hope and my prayer is that you would almost look at the things in your life, your to-do list, the things that are stressing you out, and say to yourself, is this something that really does truly need to be accomplished today, or is it just on my list? Prioritize it. I'm a work in progress. I'm working on that. And then if it isn't like the top priority thing, and you just need that scheduled, unscheduled time, take it. Take time for yourself. It is not selfish practicing self-care. It's just not. It's a setting you up for sustainable ministry in whatever way that ministry looks. The funny thing is, even people who are retired can run themselves ragged, can be the busiest people. Some of the busiest people I know, most stressed out people I know, are people who are retired. It's true. So if you are watching tonight and you're like, oh, well, this doesn't count for me because, I'm retired from my career. I don't have a career anymore. You can still be really exhausted. You can still struggle with burnout. We are all in a pandemic, and through that, we are all experiencing so much trauma and exhaustion. Our brains aren't working properly. We find ourselves being tired sooner. Things that shouldn't be taking as long are taking a lot longer. And it's because we're in the middle of a pandemic and we've never done this before. So it's all of us. It's not just some of us, it's all of us. And finally, I want to say, that for me, this is, I think, my number one sin in all of this, not taking time to rest and Sabbath, is because I really, really struggle with this sin of, well, but I have to do it. I don't trust God enough. It's much more than I have a trust of, well, if I'm not doing it, it's not going to get done, right? Which is a sin in and of itself. But I don't trust God to continue working and advocating and doing all of the things that God does with or without me. And that's the truth. So regardless of however you are and whatever kind of sin manifests in your busyness and your stress and your exhaustion, maybe like me, you just need to be reminded that things are going to continue on and be accomplished even if you're resting, even if you're not the one doing them. Things will be A-okay. And there will still be plenty of things to do, wonderful, important, sacred things to do when you come back from your time off. All that to be said, I am taking 2 weeks off, 2 full weeks. This will be the last devotion that I will do until Monday July 13th. So I will have online service and in-person outdoor service this Sunday. I would love for you to join us at Hope United Methodist Church at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, this Sunday, June 28th, 9:30 a.m. If not, you can join us online at 10:30 a.m. But after that, Russ and I are getting in our car and we are driving to Colorado. And we are going to just spend some time getting some rest and taking very much needed renewal. This is something that everybody needs to do. I know all of the other Billings Methodist pastors are taking time off too because we need it. But it's not just the Billings Methodist pastors. It's everybody that needs it. So if you were like, oh, I don't know when I can schedule some time off, I don't know when I can take some time for me, sit down tonight or tomorrow morning and carve it into your schedule. Schedule it in and literally say what my mentor Margaret said, unscheduled time to rest, to play, to laugh, to recharge your batteries. And that is what you need to do. So I love you all. I will see you in a couple of weeks. I will miss you all. But I'm going to go and practice what I preach. I'm going to go and try and be more like Jesus. And I know that there is ministry to be done, but I'm going to go sit on a boat. I'm going to take a nap. And I'm just going to go and spend some time with Jesus. So I will see you all in a couple weeks. And I love you all and know that you are always in my prayers. Even when I don't see you, I am praying for you. Okay. Have a good night and a great rest of your weekend. Bye.